morning. Every day there's less and less standing crops remaining around the countryside.
I thought this morning was going to be a little bit more pleasant than yesterday.
Well, I was wrong. It's still bitterly cold out. Wow, this is service. Leave your tractor parked at the fuel tank at night and you come in the morning and it's full of diesel and diesel exhaust fluid. There's about 130 bushels on the cart that I need to dump off on this truck. Quick and painless. That's the way I like it.
This bin should be pretty close to full.
Well, that was an easy day of work. See you guys tomorrow. You guys are crazy if you think we're taking a break now on day 23 of continuous harvesting. Even my shadow looks cool in this tractor. While they finish dumping, we're gonna move the cart to the next field about 3 or 4 miles to the southeast. Coincidentally, also about 1 mile straight south of Lakeland College. So if you see us and wave, here's my wave back. Just made it to the field. We're going to be farming right along Route 45 today. That is the field we're going to be picking, and that right there about half mile to the north is Lakeland College. You know, I could do without this breeze today. It makes this cold weather even colder.
The big fan on the 27-footer ran all night.
The 27-footer?
At Glenore, so I've shut it off. I've got the 2 corn bins running. Pardon me?
Why'd you shut it off? Let them run if they're blowing water out of it.
They weren't.
That South 36 is. We got the little horse fan on.
At the next bin site, we are going to need the drive over pit, so we probably need to finish loading this bin. About 6 to 7 inches from the top. On a 48-foot grain bin, that amount of space is probably 1,000 to 2,000 bushels roughly. Jeff, Chris, and I are going to move a few more trucks to the field. He's got this semi. I got that semi. Chris has got the 10-wheeler.
Katie should be here at some point to bring the S670 as well.
Kind of figured Alliance Tractor would have come to get that field cultivator by now. It appears to me that the wind has picked up in pace. This is where we're going to park the trucks today. Marty's already hard at it in the combine. Although a majority of the bushels we're going to be hauling off of the fields today are going to be going just right there to the southwest about a half mile, we are still going to need to take a few loads to top off that south 48-foot bin so we can pull the drive over away and move it down here. Today we're working on a different farm ownership split than we were for everything else that's gone in the bin. So fortunately for us, we've got Libra cart and the 5-point scales in the grain cart to keep everything straight. If there's one thing I've always been taught, it's that you should always be fair down to the smallest decimal point possible. That means that most of the time we do go above and beyond to make sure that we weigh everything out to the highest degree we are capable of to make sure everyone gets what they deserve and isn't shorted on anything. While we're on this topic, I'm sure a lot of you are curious about the management and the ownership here at the farm. For the most part, the largest majority of our acres are owned by someone within our family, whether it be my dad or his brothers. We do farm a little bit for some other distant relatives and some non-family members. Like 80% of what we have is owned by direct family members. If not, the rest, for the most part, is a crop share and a tiny bit of cash rent sprinkled in, but not very much. Oh boy, another nice day to be in a cab. Need to switch fields this morning. We were on buds yesterday. Today we were on the Beals 60. It's helpful for me as the grain cart operator to be on the correct farm so I can pull the auto steer lines and run directly with the way the corn was planted. Steering the grain cart by hand, although admirable, is overrated. I'm gonna have to start getting to work earlier if I want to have any chance to clean my windows before we hit the ground running. There's Katie with the S670. I think 2 solid loads on a semi should finish that bin. Now that I think about it, actually I hope it doesn't finish the bin, because that means we fit more than we normally do. That load right there is 39,000 in that south 48-foot bin. This field's some more of that good old DeKalb 6141. Wow, this combine driver needs some more experience, I guess. Jeff just radioed from the main farm and said that that bin is in fact full. So much for my estimation of 2 more loads into that bin, but that's how it goes. That puts us at 39,100 bushels into that South 48 footer. Marty, Chris, and Jeff are gonna go disassemble the other bin setup, move the drive over down, and then we're gonna be hauling here to Etna. Meanwhile, I'll be chasing Katie around this field, trying to keep up. Maybe I can wash my windows really quick. It's hard to expect spotless windows when your window rag looks like that. I tried a different approach this time. I just wiped down the front and the side window. I did have to use the John Deere glass cleaner on the back and this side because I tried cleaning it off with washer fluid and that completely made a mess, so I did have to have some extra strength. Wiping it down definitely seems to be a viable strategy. Since the trucks are not dumping and we are inevitably going to catch them, I'm gonna try and help Katie out of here and raise the height or the location of her grain tank full sensor. It's really kind of a quality of life improvement. It goes off prematurely, she still has room to pick. I figure we might as well do it. It's set for the stock grain tank, not for the added extensions we have on it. That's the top grain tank full sensor. You can see there's a couple more rings. We can move it up. That way she'll not get such a premature alert. It looks like it's about a 10 millimeter, Katie. Is that the smallest you have? Watch, it'll just not work now. But now when it goes off, you probably ought to think about stopping. I don't know about that. Looks like it's gonna flop.
Doesn't work, you're scooping.
Well, I'll make that agreement. I think it'll be all right. All it needs is just the weight pushes it out. It's a lot higher, so you're gonna have a lot more when it goes off now. It should work because that's how high the S780 set. It's on the top ring of the grain tank. Not really the type of weather where I feel like increasing my exposure to the wind. I'd rather be working down in the bottom of the grain tank where there's cover. That's cold. Should be good to go. Not that she was ever not good to go. There's really only 2 possible outcomes here. Either this fix works great, Katie knows exactly when her grain tank's full to maximum capacity, or we're gonna be unstrapping the shovel from the grain cart. And there's probably no in between. Glad to be back in the tractor again. Back in business. The grain tank full sensors are literally just a spring-loaded paddle. When the grain pushes against it, it tells the combine that that sensor is activated, meaning that that level of fullness has been reached. It has 2 or 3 of them. It's got a 3/4 one that's a lot lower, and then that 4 out of 4 one is what it'll say is grain tank full 4 out of 4. So maybe there's 4 sensors, I don't know. But that's the one that really tells you, hey, we're at like maximum capacity. If you choose to ignore the last sensor, there is always the optional cab overflow spot and the engine bay compartment cover. Both great spots to store additional grain. The sensor has not gone off yet, but I don't think there's enough grain in the tank.
Still hasn't gone off yet.
You've still got a decent amount of room.
I'm gonna keep going just to make sure it'll go off.
Did it go off?
Yeah.
Well, it's about full. When that thing goes off, you need to stop. Manual verification. Well, you'll just know that when it goes off, you probably ought to ease up. Between you and I'm actually surprised that worked. Normally projects I'm involved with like that don't pan out. I was expecting a glorious golden fountain of corn raining over the top of the cab. It's a good thing we started today with a full tank because we're hauling the corn across this soybean field of ours to get to the trucks. The reason that we're doing a little extra legwork with the grain cart is because the alternative is having our semis on Route 45 here. Route 45 is like a super highway. People drive like 70 miles an hour down. It's just not a good spot for our trucks, especially some of our drivers, Chris, are a little bit slow. We just don't need everyone pulling out. We can drive a little bit more, maybe do a little less efficient work to add some safety to our operation. A couple years back, we had an unloading auger incident between Marty and a FedEx truck. It was completely Dad's fault. He just turned and didn't account for the fact that he has a rear wheel steer combine. So when he turned, his auger went out into the other lane and clipped the top of the FedEx truck. So if your packages were late about 4 years ago in October, you can blame Marty. This load right here concludes the largest portion of that field we've been working on. Do you guys recall what your average moisture was for that South 60?
14.5.
Dry, which everything's dry at this point. It is mid-October. The south portion of that field, which I would traditionally consider the higher yielding area and typically one of our best farms, made 241 dry. 240 bushel corn is always respectable, but usually we have pretty higher yields on that piece that we just harvested compared to the rest of our acreage. So really at 240, that DeKalb 6141 we had out there kind of underperformed compared to my expectations for that individual tract. It's plenty dry out here in this field. Look at this dust. The back side of this field, which also has the DeKalb 6141, shouldn't take quite as long. I think it's just a short 30.
It's a good thing we're out picking this corn because it really looks like, for the most part, it's on its last leg. This little guy's already taken a nap. There's not much stock quality left out here, snapping right over.
That could just be a normal attribute of this hybrid in particular. Every hybrid and variety, whether it be corn or soybeans, all have their own individual traits. Some of them don't have good late season standability. Maybe this DeKalb 6141 is one of those. Poor grain cart guy does not get any personal time. Combines are chewing through the second half of this field. Should be done soon. After a good afternoon of picking, we finally finished this field. The south side of this farm that we started on this morning is a lot more efficient for harvesting long rows, no real obstacles. The north side of this farm, though, is a little bit slower paced. Got terraces, waterways, and some rolling ground. Kind of kills your efficiency slightly. Katie's emptying out as well. It's bad luck to leave a different way than how you came in. Don't collapse, please. I just pulled into the next field that the combine is already opening up, but I do have a little bit of corn to offload first. It's only slightly windy right now. That 505 bushel load puts us at 240 bushels per acre dry on the north side of that farm we just came from.
With what I just offloaded on Chris's 10-wheeler, that puts us at 21,000 in that south 36-foot bin, which should be maximum capacity.
That means that the head honcho is going to go to the bin site, keep an eye on things as we top it off. I'm going to run the 780 for a little bit. Oh, back in the office. The outside of this field continues to be that DeKalb 6141 we've been harvesting all day. And as we move to the center, we have some Pioneer 0953. So 109-day Pioneer corn versus 111-day DeKalb corn. This 6141 just is not looking good out here in terms of standability. Laying over, getting lazy. Probably should have came out here earlier. I do realize that that is one of many reasons why some people like to use drying systems, utilize their combines earlier in the season, pick higher moisture corn, dry that moisture out of the crop, and not have to pay an absorbent fee at the elevator to do so. At the end of the day, you can get your crop out when it's still standing and know that you're not going to have any losses from down corn like we're dealing with right now. By no means are these a large amount of losses, very marginal, very little amount of down corn out here, but it is something to keep in mind as we move forward throughout the season. Holy moly, that's dry. 12.5%. Oh, our loss monitor is off the charts. I better get out and check that. I doubt we're losing that much, but I don't think I can run this comfortably without verifying that's the case. Prepare your ears. The machine is probably going to honk at us. It's a lovely feature. Yep.
There's not a single kernel there. There's one kernel. Huh. The combine would make you think that we're just yeeting corn out the back right now.
Katie was right on my tail, so it's a good thing she was paying attention when I pulled back the hydrostat. Could have been an expensive mistake. Maybe it has something to do with the dryness of the corn. Holy shit, I about just drove off into a massive tile hole. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. That could have been a disaster. I quite literally probably had the back wheels off of the ground. I pulled this back so fast. I saw it right there and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was paying attention. I know at times it seems like I don't pay attention, but when I'm running a machine like this, I do. If I would have hit that hard enough, I very easily could have ruined this set of duals over here. That was quite literally inches away from disaster.
The sun also happens to be getting lower in the sky, which really screws up your ability to see clearly in the rows. There's a lot of shadows, and the dust that is getting illuminated by the sunlight also makes it challenging to see what's going on. You know, I think I'm ready to go back to the grain cart now. This has been too much work for me.
Doesn't matter anyways, I'm already getting kicked out. If you look out across the field, you can almost tell to the exact spot where the hybrids change. You get about another 36 to 48 rows in, and there's a much different color of corn. It's got a different hue to it, and it's standing a little better. I left a couple corn plants so no one else would almost make the same mistake I did with that hole. I think I've had enough of fall. Maybe summer can come back now. The sun is setting on today. Marty left like 30 minutes ago to run up to the bin site and look at something. Coincidentally, he left the 780 shut off, but with a full grain tank, and the beacons do not stop flashing. They just sit here and flash the entire time. For the safety of myself and others around me, I should probably turn my lights on. I think that the lights on this 8R tractor are so bright that they're actually unsafe for the others around me. Old Blinky's finally back harvesting. Look at those nice LEDs on the new 7 Series combines. Pretty slick. I would speculate that we're probably getting close to quitting time. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I'm getting rather tired at this point. Harvesting 23 days in a row makes me realize why some of you guys take every Sunday off or take a half day every now and then, because I feel like the fatigue starts to add up. I'm not saying we're doing incredibly laborious or intensive work, but there is a lot of mental capacity consumed day in and day out to help keep the wheels turning in the right direction, make sure you don't break anything, and you keep the combines doing exactly what they're built to do. Long story short, I just want to go to bed. I'm sure a lot of you have been following the news about how low the water levels in the Mississippi River are getting. The Great Mississippi just isn't quite as mighty as it once was because it's been so dry in the Midwest and in the Great Plains, meaning a lot of water that normally would be filtering in isn't coming. That relates to what I was talking about because that right there is the reason why we've been able to harvest, because it's not raining here. The moral of the story is that I hope it rains for my sake and for yours. I swear, this field is trying to end me. It's hard to tell after dark, but there's a sneaky little tile hole right there. And it looks like a combine driver drove right over it and didn't even radio me. It is standard procedure and just quite frankly polite to tell everyone else in the field where a tile hole is so it doesn't sneak up on them. That's the end of the evening line right there.
Andy, don't hit Dad. He's walking towards the truck.
You guys save a spot for me to park? Another quality day of grain carting out of the 8R 370. And for those of you who are conscious about saving your battery, flip the key again, turn it off, there goes your lights. Redo. Now they're gone. For the lights to turn off, you have to actually turn off the light switch first. Oh, it is my lucky night. I was that close to losing the key in the abyss in the darkness below the steps. First I catch that tile hole at the last possible second, and finally, I don't drop the key off. I've got my camera exposure cranked way up. Look at all the stars out in the sky tonight. That's a level of beauty you can only see out in the country. Harvesting crew shut down and wrapped up for the night. We do still have one little worker bee buzzing around the farm, and that is Cade from Lakeland, our tillage guy. He's on the VT now. He's done a majority of what we're gonna hit with the disc ripper. He's manning the 9460R and the 2660 VT, chopping up corn stalks, hopefully leaving us an ideal seed bed to no-till into next spring. Wow, Cade is not messing around. He started at like 1 o'clock this afternoon after class, and I bet he's getting close to 200 acres worked. Oh yeah, he's scooting right now. Hopped in the cab real quick, rode a round or two with him,
Just kind of watched him work. Nice kid, great to talk to, good old farm boy, and knows how to operate a tractor. He's doing one heck of a job out here on our corn stalks, which makes me feel a lot better that we've got some quality tillage going on behind the combines, keeping us up to date, starting our stock decomposition, and making sure that everything continues to run full circle. That way we can keep moving on with the season. I'll give you guys an update in the next video when there's sunlight, probably first thing in the morning. That vertical till is actually doing a phenomenal job now. I think that maybe just the residual moisture on the corn stalks was causing issues. That's a conversation for another day though. I can almost guarantee that you'll see me again tomorrow, just for the simple fact that you've seen me every day for the last 23 days. Why not make it 24 and 25 and 26? The wheel just keeps on turning. That being said, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I hope to catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!